Welcome to The Miracle You, guiding you on the journey towards finding passion and purpose and how to discover, create, and live a life by your design. Whether your success has been plentiful or your missed opportunities have been overwhelming, we can help you become a more empowered, masterful person and show you how to share your gift with the world. It's time to inspire change from within with the host of The Miracle You, Vince Kramer.
Hello, imagination. I'm Vince Kramer, your host, and welcome to The Miracle You, where you learn about the magic of living your life by finding the example in real life. One of the most important things that I want to share with the Imagine Miracles group and the imagination is to understand energy and how everything in the universe is energy. We are energy. And it's the interaction between those energies that really create the reality that you experience in your life. And you control that reality as the witness, as the couple that we're going to talk with today emphasizes, or as I call it, the observer that creates that reality. And the energy that we all have, the ability to create, the ability to manifest and bring things into our lives that we want and that support us in living the life that we're meant to live is available to us. And all it is understanding the universal principles of energy, the universal principles of how energy interacts, entangles, entrains with each other in the other energies in the universe, because truly we are only one energy. So I want you to pay attention today about the understanding and the ways that you can use old medicine, old techniques, old rituals to really bring that creative energy of you up to a place where you can step forward on your journey. You can accomplish your purpose. You can bring things into your life that you were meant to have. I'm with Elsbeth Meuth and Freddy Zental Weaver, and they have assisted thousands of couples and singles create lasting intimacy and fulfillment in their relationships. They are featured on Showtime's documentary series, Sexual Healing, and the Emmy Award-winning NBC show, Starting Over. Best-selling authors of Sexual Enlightenment, endorsed by world-renowned spiritual pioneer Dr. Michael Beckwith, and the co-founders of Tantra Nova Institute in Chicago. They have coached billionaires, innovators, and power couples all over the world and shared their intimacy secrets at a global Young Presidents Organization conference in the City of Love, Paris, France. Elsbeth and Freddy, I am so excited to have you here today. Are you ready to share the miracle of you with the imagination?
We'd love to.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, let's get it on.
I've been waiting for this interview since we scheduled it, and I'm pretty excited about what you guys have to bring, especially in the energy world. But before we do that, your bio left so many holes in what's going on in your lives and who you are. Could you share with us a little bit about yourself and more about Tantra Nova?
Sure, yeah. Well, I was first introduced to the practices we teach now when I was 13 years old. I was living in the beautiful islands of Hawaii with my dad, and I was going through my puberty, and he was a practicing psychiatrist, and I was spending a lot of time in the shower. And, he took pity on me and gave me a book to read on how to integrate meditation and sex practices. So that was my first introduction to sexual meditation. I loved it. My girlfriend loved it. I was an athlete, and I was able to focus enough to get a scholarship to college on athletic scholarship, and continued to read and practice after college and, put this into my personal relationships. And well, I wound up in the software business and did that for a long time. And when I first got in that, it was really exciting. It was like a new world, and I was really, inspired by it. But after about 10, 12 years in it, it was just a job. And I had lost my inspiration in what I was doing, my dharma, my work. Mm-hmm. And I was in San Francisco, beautiful city, still love it to this day. But I was looking for something to, enliven my being. So there's an opportunity here in Chicago, and so they hired me, moved me here, and I really came here to meet Elsbeth. I was single at the time, and I got online, and I was looking for a Shakti, a female Tantra partner, and Elsbeth had her profile online, and we met, and that was almost 20 years ago now. And thusly, we have worked with thousands of couples, as you mentioned, all over the world, and singles, books, tapes, television, and we love doing this work, the transformational work that is afoot for everybody in the world. And we have a particular slant on it. We'll get into that as we go. But that's a little about me, and you'll hear more later. So,
how about you, Elsbeth?
So very different for me. As you can tell, I didn't grow up in the United States. I'm from Germany, and I remember that I wish I would have had a dad who would have given me, the introduction to my teenage intimate life that really flourished at that time, but was quite vilified in the home I grew up. So quite different upbringing. And however, I came to the United States in my late 20s to do postgraduate work in music. And from there, I went on to do my doctorate and then became a management consultant and got really good at that. However, was miserable at relationship because, Vince, I had this pattern of falling in love with unavailable men. Mm. And while that was exciting at times, most of the time I was alone. And I vividly remember a moment when I came home from the office and I felt so despaired about myself, about my future, and also the fear that I may never have lasting intimacy and love in my life before I leave this planet. So that got me off my butt, that desperation. And that was the time when I deeply delved into meditation and then studying the tantric practice, which is a particular practice that comes from East India that allows us to reintegrate our full self, the physical, the emotional, and the spiritual. And it was so impactful that, like the healing, the reconnecting with myself, with my lost heart that was looking for love outside instead of inside, and healing myself. And then decided to go on to a certification program. Never mind, I was still a management consultant. To become a Tantra teacher was a little bit outside of the trajectory. However, once I completed that, I decided to leave the consulting firm. And at that very time, Freddy came into my life. And as you can tell, we are still together, not only beloveds, but also business partners and co-teachers of the work and the message we are now spreading.
You were talking a little bit about timing. Isn't it amazing that both of you found that place and got put together right at the right time? And the thing about power couples, right? Different experiences and different angles, and being able to address things together, but from different places, so help so many people. So that's what makes you guys so powerful in what you do and what you bring to the world. Freddy, Elsbeth mentioned the fact that the tantric practices about getting in touch and self-discovery and really bringing up the energy inside of you. Most of us think the tantric practices are strictly sexual and on the outside world. Could you give us a little bit more information about that?
Yeah. So, Vince, there's a lot of approaches to transformation. There's meditation. There's so many different ways to get to that part of ourselves we don't see, about how we're creating what we're getting so that we can now create what we most deeply desire. So the tantric practices, we teach yoga of Tantra. So we're Tantra Nova, Tantra New. So we're working with the yoga of Tantra, which is energetic, the original energetic yoga, and it's all energy, and pieces of the Western approach to transformation in terms of psychology, generative language, creative self-discovery, how we discover ourselves in the creative process, music, movement, and dance. And we put that together in a specific curriculum that teaches, shows, and gives tools exactly how to work consciously with our life force or sexual energy, which is the unique piece. The thing about that is that when we are in our sexual energy, whether you're doing our work with the distinctions and practices or not, We are more open, loving, vulnerable, receptive. Chemically, we're changed. Oxytocin's released, endorphin, serotonin, the feel-good hormones. So when we can be in that state as a witness and with an intention, we can get more deeply connected to that which we don't see about what we're doing unconsciously, automatically, from story making, from learned experience, from justification. We have lots of proof as to why we can't create what we want because we haven't done it before, and this is what happened before. So this whole idea of like a placebo, creating our life through placebo. It's like first starting to really believe something starts to achieve something. We've heard that over and over again. And I think it's a time now when science and spirituality are saying the same thing, that it's all connected. So this is an age-old approach working with what I call the systemic intelligence of life force or sexual energy, which is creative and pleasurable. It creates life and it's pleasurable when we're in the energy. So when you bring consciousness to it with the distinctions that we're teaching, what starts to show up outside of the sexual experience is creativity and pleasure in the simple process of living itself.
That's awesome.
That's a lot said, right?
Yes,
elevator speech.
You've said it. You've said it once or twice before. I can tell. Elsbeth, can you give us an example of someone that you've worked with in some of the transformation that they've experienced?
Yes. So, as you mentioned earlier, when you read the bio, we both work with couples and singles, and also circling back to what you said earlier, that it's not just about having sex with another. It's a much, much wider range of possibilities here that really allows us, as Freddy says, connecting with our life force energy and then using this as a fuel. And yes, this life force energy is sexual and pleasurable and creative in nature. And so if I can learn how to access that energy, not just being at the effect of it, when I'm horny, I'm at the effect of it. Now, it's wonderful. There's nothing good or bad about that. It's wonderful. However, how would it be if I could learn to channel that energy, to imbue my heart, to actually, expand my health and well-being, to use it in my focused mind, and then also use it as a creative fuel for fueling my intentions to create what I want in the world, given that this energy brings forth life. Mm-hmm. So not always creating new life, we can create our life with it. And so I remember a guy coming to us, and he was very successful in the insurance business, but miserable in his life because he really wanted to be an actor. And so he came to work with us, and we worked through blocks, emotional blocks, mental blocks, and then also through blocks he had with his life force energy that most of us are not aware of. This is why we cannot just shift it like that. And when he became reintegrated, the reintegration of his physical, sexual, emotional, love, and mental, spiritual self, which, happened over a period of, I would say, 6 months. He came to do private work and then workshops. Something got inspired within him, both clearing what no longer served him and then accessing his wonderful creative energy, that he now is out in LA pursuing being an actor, in the movie business. Mm-hmm. So, that was not available to him or even seemed possible before he came here. And then we have numerous, stories of couples who came here either at the brink of separation or, the spark had left them, or the children went away for college, and there they were, now they are really faced with each other. And at times also couples who are very much in love with each other, yet feel like there may be more to loving and relating. Mm-hmm. And so it always touches my heart when they leave with a newfound connection, both with self and then with each other, again, on all levels, the physical, the love level, and the spiritual level. which really is like the icing on the cake.
Yeah, I wanted to say there was a couple that we worked with about 3 years ago, and they were on the brink of breaking up. There was a infidelity in the relationship, and so they were working through that. And they came to work with us, and I just saw the woman of the couple just yesterday, and she said that it was profound in terms of what happened in the relationship and what they got out of this work, which was really taking responsibility and seeing beyond their own story and righteousness and ego, which is, again, where that sexual energetic in a conscious place takes you automatically. Mm-hmm. It's like that's the systemic intelligence. So when we can be the witness in that place with an intention, we can get, again, more deeply connected and see more clearly where we have choice. And it was great that they did that. It saved their marriage. And unfortunately, he recently passed away just about 7 days ago, and he was a young man. So they were able to stay together, and they'd been together for 30 years. He was just 61. Young to me. But at any rate, and this is the time, the thing I think that is really profound with this work for me in terms of delivering and facilitating and seeing people get the work is that, this is a short time we have to dance. And that people who have an intention of creating something and they've only been in their own way to really see that they have choice and they start to go out and live that life, that to me is the satisfaction of the work.
Yes, you bet. You bet. There's so many different ways I want to go. And unfortunately, this is such a short podcast, so we may have to get back together. But I'd love to talk about the creativity a little bit. And one of the things that we lose, as you said, because of the fear or the desire for society to kind of shut down the sexual world or that part of us. How do you work with your customers or your clients or those people just in your life that you want to share with them how to release that creativity? How do you help them get past that fear, that shutdownness that society's created?
Oh, that's such a great question because it goes so to the core why this energy, may be constricted. So we often talk about it like that sexual energy or how we hold it shows either up in an obsessed way or suppressed way. None of us had education in being with that energy as, like a natural flow. Just how I feel or how I breathe. And that, of course, is associated with, traditions and world religions, where often this energy got vilified. And so societally, we live in a collective ether of vilification of that energy that then can show up either in an obsessed way or suppressed way. And this is not an individual thing. This is a collective thing. None of us, neither you or I or Freddy, has chosen that path. It's something that we get with the mother milk and is, ancestral for millennia. So then the opportunity now is how could we free that energy so that that energy could serve us, and along with it, we set free creativity. And so that involves, of course, what we call healing or clearing of that, what may have constricted that energy in the first place. And for many of us, it was an experience in this lifetime, sexual abuse, emotional abuse. I was not sexually abused, yet, my father called me a whore at 16, coming home from a ballroom dance with makeup on my face. So that was pretty detrimental, actually, because it was like humiliating me in my womanhood. So I didn't get clear about that until later in life when I did my own conscious healing work. So, and of course, given the way he grew up, totally understandable. Mm-hmm. Once I got that, I started to have compassion for my dad. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But until then, I was like, no, he was the guy who did it to me. No, yes, no. So anyway, freeing ourselves of that. And for some people, it may be very deep healing work that may not be so easy to move through it, however well worth it. because beyond it, it's like moving through the eye of the needle. Beyond, there is a new world where then this energy is really available to feel within the body, because our body is designed to feel pleasure. Otherwise, we wouldn't have all these nerve endings. And really being in our own pleasure self, and then opening up to sharing that pleasure self with another. And if we choose to, it doesn't have to be shared with another. It can be very, self-oriented, which is wonderful. And then we can learn, once the energy is set free, to channel it from our sexual center up into our heart center, into our third eye and beyond. Now, that's a practice. It doesn't come to you overnight. You want to learn how to breathe. For men, they want to learn how to master the reflex, the muscular reflex in the pelvic floor that actually initiates the ejaculation. So when a man can master his ejaculation, he is no longer a slave to it anymore. He can actually separate ejaculation from orgasm and then use that orgasmic energy to imbue himself, imbue his relationship, and then imbue his life. For the woman, it's a little different. It's not about sustaining the energy. It's about reawakening the energy, because we are based in estrogen, which is the slow hormone. And that's the way how we access our creative energy.
I'm going to take you guys a little off task here and ask you, with the ability and the understanding, if we could take that to the populace of releasing your creative energy and understanding how to empower yourself through that, how do you think that would affect the world and the experiences that we're having with rape and sexual abuse and things like that? How do you think that would have an effect on the world if we were able to? It might be a little early to say take this to the schools, but if we could teach our children that, if we could teach and we could learn that as an adults, how do you think that would change the world that way?
One, our connection to this expanded universe that is our lineage, is our creative consciousness. And yet in the world, this physical world, the whole civilizing process beats the creativity out of us. Just trying to manage people and get them to conform in a way that, we can get food to them and everybody believes the same thing and so on, have some sense of society. That creativity has been beaten out of us. Yet we're in this place now where all of that stuff can be taken care of digitally and automatedly. So what do you do when you don't have to leave the house for groceries? You just sit and twiddle your thumbs and go crazy, right? So unless we can go in and listen and be still, and connect with this creative possibility, we're going to go crazy. So I think what happens now is that there is a critical mass of unconsciousness and disillusionment and people giving up the power, even though, we see an idea of what we want to create, yet, the kids are now, there's heroin's going crazy and there's war everywhere. And what's possible is peace. I mean, we could really do and heal everything with all the technology we have now. So how do we make that spiritual quantum leap? And I believe that really connecting consciously with our life force or sexual energy in a way that empowers us and enlivens how we are experiencing our life. Yeah. And this isn't about having sex with anyone. It's about being connected to what that energy represents and how it enlivens our being.
Yeah. I think, Vince, we have all gotten a wake-up call with the Me Too movement and the Time Is Up movement. Which really has come out like an explosion. Now, that has been there for millennia, and it happened in a hierarchical relational model where men were up and women were down for millennia, and both played their roles. This is not just to blame men now. No, this is part of the consciousness within the hierarchical model, which patriarchy is, just as matriarchy would be. It would be just turned upside down. So it's curious that you ask the question, because we are just at the beginning of of a new calling where we take our work exactly to what you are alluding to. How do we bring it actually to the world? You know, here at Tantra Nova, it's small groups, small workshops, very intimate on purpose. It was designed like that. Mm-hmm. But, you know, something has happened for me last year that woke me up with a calling that the next 20 years, I'm going to be 70, actually in June. So what am I going to do with the next 20 years? And am I going to do the same, or am I going to open up to something that I came here for to make a contribution to, which is at the very core of our conversation, the integration, that bringing awareness and consciousness to our sexual self so that we can bring ourselves forth in all relationships. It's not about sex. It's about consciousness. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, really our vision is to bring this. I think we need to first support adults to transform in that realm so that then we can bring it to the schools and, you know, the younger people. But unless adults open their eyes and their self, there won't be any education about it.
Right, right. As the imagination can tell, I'm way off the flow on this podcast, and I'm just going to stay off the flow on this podcast. One of the most important things that I believe and I share in our Imagine Miracles work is that teaching isn't what comes out of your mouth, it's the example that you set. And one of the things that I try to get across and share with people in this podcast is that you're not alone, and there's messages and there's information that comes to you, and it's just the willingness to allow it, first of all, to come in and then do something with it, take some kind of action. You guys are an example of what they call twin flames or soulmates. It's just obvious seeing you together, and I've had an opportunity to see you together in person. You're definitely meant to be together. Could you share a little bit about how you guys came together and how you knew that you were supposed to be, first of all, partners in life, but then partners in business?
Well, I'll start with that. So when I came to Chicago, company moved me here. I was in software business, a single, looking for Shakti, and I met Elsbeth. You know, we liked each other right away. And what happened within the first 6 months is I call it transcended the romantic drama. And we created Tantra Nova, which became bigger than the both of us and fulfilled each of our individual and collective impressions and ideas and contributions in the world in our lives. So that's what I think really capped it off for me. And I think that that's what I see in so many couples. Most folks that get together, they love the smell of each other. They're romantically, enthralled. And after about, 3 years, you need to take a bath, And, usually they have kids and then it becomes, there's big triggers going on and old stories and we're reliving our family dramas and all of that stuff. And instead of seeing the relationship as an opportunity of transformation, to really learn how to allow the other to be totally who they are and become more egoless in the relationship and be doing work together. I mean, most people raise kids and so on, and that's wonderful too. So that for me, that's what it was. We came together later than time for kids. So our baby was Tantra Nova.
Yeah.
How about you, Elsbeth?
For me, it had a lot to do with intentionality. I didn't want to create the same kind of love relationship I had created many times before, with this unavailability pattern. And through doing my own healing work, I had become very clear what I wanted to create, which was really looking for partnership, which meant that another would be ready for partnership even before meeting me. And that was then present because both of us were ready to create anew, not the same that we had before, had done our own work. And so that was an intentionality that really has permeated our whole life ever since, our relationship life. And then it's really one other thing that really has gotten so, because there's also a romanticizing of the twin flames, the soulmate, which is wonderful. Yes, there is a dimension where we don't have to work on. Like there's a connection there that always has been there. But there are other many layers where we have been doing a lot of work around, when you think at some point, is this really the guy I want to be with, anymore? So, and vice versa. And those are the moments to look at, okay, what's in the way? And what is it that holds me back? What is there for me to be seen that I can clear so that I can be open again and co-create partnership?
There's a couple things that you both said that I want to just reflect back out to the imagination, because I think it's important that it was heard. First of all, you did your own work first. You learn to love you, and you learn to be able to express you before you found that outside. And in that, we're talking energy, right? Attraction. The love that you felt for yourself was radiated out, and it attract that love back to you, which is right on point in understanding that it's an inside job, and then this miraculous life finds you because it wants to be a part of you and move there. And then the other thing that you said that I think it is extremely powerful in the fact that we romanticize these relationships. You hear, well, you complete me. Mm-hmm. A true relationship that supports each other, like you guys are supporting each other in your relationship, allows the completion inside the person. I find all of me in me. You don't give me something that now I feel complete. And that was the second thing that you said that I want to make sure everybody heard, because that's so powerful. It's completing it inside yourself. It's not someone else bringing that into your relationship. So thank you for that.
Beautifully said. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a wonderful life, and it's really about people starting to live their life fully and not be lamenting or in any regret or feeling subjected to their existence while they're here ultimately. And I think that is going to create more and more peace on earth. If I was someone who said, look, I don't want to teach anyone, leave me alone, I just want to garden, that's not the case. But if there was, I would garden with such love and enthusiasm that someone would pass by my flowers and be inspired. So if we keep coming from that internal listening, and that's what this work so validates, which is that internal listening that is a part of our energetic existence. So that's what I was saying in terms of teaching. We could teach these practices to nuns and priests if they were vowed to celibacy. It's about being what this energy represents as an authentic, deep, intimate listening and being in the world. That's the systemic intelligence of that sexual energy. Yeah. Sorry.
And that creative energy is very, very powerful for sure. Believe it or not, we're running close to the end of the time, and I would like a piece of guidance that each of you would like to share with the imagination.
I would say to all of your listeners, whatever level they are in their practice or their transformational process, to remember the conscious belly breath, parasympathetic breathing, and to do 10 parasympathetic belly breaths in the morning before you get out of bed. And that will develop the second piece, which is the witness, the watcher of the stories that we do that often keep us locked in a place or position or validating what we say we want, but what we can't do. And so the belly breath is the key piece to start with.
Mm-hmm. So do we have a moment to do it?
Yes, please. I was going to ask you to, because somebody's going to say, what's a belly breath? And
okay, great. So if you're sitting, sitting preferably, put a hand on your belly. Your eyes can be open, closed, or soft focus. And just letting your thoughts come and go. Bring your awareness to your breath. Follow it with your consciousness into your nose, down your trachea, lungs, extending into your diaphragm and into your belly like a big balloon on your inhalation. Feel your hand fill up with your belly as you inhale like a big balloon. Through the nose. On your exhalation, following your breath back up and out through your nose in your own pace, depth, and rhythm. And we'll continue breathing like this for a few breaths. Feeling the rise of your belly on your inhalation. Watching any thoughts, letting them be, letting them go. Keeping the focus on the breath. feeling the rise of the belly on your inhalation. Following with your awareness your breath back up and out through your nose in your own pace, depth, and rhythm. Let's try one more time. Just watching the thoughts, stories, interpretations of meaning, not giving it a lot of energy. The rise of your belly on your inhalation. Really feel the extension. Following with your awareness your breath back up and out through your nose in your own pace, depth, and rhythm.
And then take a moment while you have your eyes still closed, while you're breathing in and out. And notice how you're feeling right now. Notice how your body is feeling. And notice your emotional state. And then connect with your thoughts or with the stillness of your mind. And then slowly come back. And that is what Freddy means by belly breath, to drop into that still place that opens up the pause where we can make a choice.
Thank you. Freddy, real quick, could you explain parasympathetic so people understand what that is?
Right. So we breathe sympathetically always up in the upper chest and the lungs, and we don't think about it. It keeps the body oxygenated. And so to breathe parasympathetically requires our mind to really focus on bringing the breath down into the diaphragm and extending into the belly. And that does a couple of things. One, it gives the mind and the thinking, story-making self, the monkey mind, a little bit of a pause from, this darn traffic or whatever it might be. So get a little pause. And then secondly, it produces more endorphins, serotonin, oxytocin, the feel-good hormone. So we're really putting our body in a chemical state of ease by breathing parasympathetically. And so those are the two really important values of that parasympathetic belly breath.
Excellent. Thank you. And Elsbeth, your recommendation or guidance?
My guidance always goes to the heart, because the heart is the reconciler between our upper chakras and our lower chakras. All comes together here. So I just want to bring to listen from your heart. That is where I go when I'm confused or troubled within myself, or also if I don't understand what Freddy wants, or when I feel, criticized or so, to go into my heart and breathe into my heart and look at what my heart wants. It takes me out of the left brain hemisphere, which is the rational, the logical, not connected to the emotional. And so dropping into the heart connects me to the right brain hemisphere, where I'm more Vesuvius and I can listen more to what's so for me. And then from there, I can say, darling, can we just step away and discuss what came up a little later instead of just attacking back? Or I can say, thanks for sharing this with me. Could you say more about it? Instead of, what do you mean? I didn't do that, So both for my own sake, to connect to my own sanity through my heart, and then connecting to my beloved or to a child or to a friend or colleague. It's applicable to any relationship.
Oh, thank you. How can people get in touch with you and learn more about Tantra Nova and about Freddy and Elsbeth?
So we are on the web at tantranova.com, TANTRANOVA.com. So we are in Chicago, also Tantranova at tantranova.com if you want to email us. And then on Facebook, we are just Tantranova. So there are many ways of connecting with us.
Excellent. And all that information will be available on the show page. Just look for Elsbeth and Freddy's episode. And all you need to do is go to the miracleu with a capital U.com, look for their episode, and all that information will be available to you. Elsbeth, Freddy, thanks for the connection today. You talk about connecting. You guys definitely connected with us and the audience and with me, and I surely appreciate you taking the time out of your day to be here with us. I surely appreciate both of you so much.
Oh.
Yeah, it's great.
Thank you.
Thanks for the platform. Thanks, Vince.
You're welcome. You're welcome. On behalf of Mary, my business partner, and my wife, we want to wish you a miracle day.
You've completed this episode of The Miracle You, but we have plenty more to help you discover your own personal passion and purpose. Head over to themiracleyou.com for free resources to assist you on your journey, as well as register for our free webinar, Discover Your Miracle Life, 3 mind-awakening steps toward your unique purpose, or apply for a one-on-one Your Life, Your Way breakthrough session and discover your next best step on your journey. All available exclusively on our website. That's themiracleyou.com. We look forward to sharing more experiences of passion, purpose, and life by design next time, right here on The Miracle You.